Welcome to Bonus Boss, a podcast about video games from Cruel Fan. I'm Benny Ulich, and with me, as always, is Ryan Collins.
Hey,
How's
how's
it
it
going?
going? Good, good. How's your week been?
It's been an interesting week for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, for me too. So, your typical question usually.
Yeah, so hey, what have you been playing this week?
Okay, so I have been playing actually two things. Flame in the Flood, I'm still playing. That's the survival game
Yeah.
for Switch. Um, I still have yet to beat it. It is challenging. I made it past a like certain major checkpoint, but still kind of frustrating. I got a new controller for my Switch actually, which I kind of wanted to talk to you about. How do you feel about the Switch's controller in general, and what do you usually play with when you're playing on your Switch?
So it depends on what I'm playing because I think more often than not, I play the game in handheld mode. I just use the regular Joy Cons that came with it. It's a little tight in my hands. I don't have huge hands, but they're
Yeah,
bigger than the Switch.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
like the so it's um I use that most of the time and it's okay. But then when if I dock it, you know how they have like the controller bit you slide those into?
yeah.
That's much too small. So I have like a an old it's actually a Wii U controller that I've been able to hook up to my Switch.
Okay.
And it's kind of like the size and shape of like an Xbox controller. So I'll play that usually if I'm like I was using that a lot for playing Zelda for
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild, especially for like action games where you need to be quick on the button presses. But generally, I don't mind it too much. It's a little small and a little tight, but it's not horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, so I on the on the Switch itself, like when I'm playing on my TV, I have actually a Breath of the Wild Zelda controller that I
Mm,
got. That's basically like an Xbox controller that it plugs into. I like playing that way the most, but um the the control my Joy-Con broke one of the
mm.
buttons. So the character kept on moving to the left, which in a survival game, which like with like a raft. So a lot of the game is like you're on this raft, like going from island to island, and if you hit anything, then your raft gets damaged and everything like that. So like my raft kept on like hitting into stuff, and it's all because my the left joystick was all messed up on it, so it was continuously pulling to the left. So I decided to get a new controller. I wish I knew what the brand name was of it, but basically it's just off Amazon, just some controller, but you put it's like a whole rig that you put the Switch into, and it's like
Okay.
a full controller. I really like playing that way in general, but it makes the buttons. I know what you mean about like the regular control, like the one that you put the Joy Cons into. Like I don't know who could ever really use that. I mean, besides like little kids, I
My
guess.
5-year-old,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
he uses it no problem.
the thing that I bought, it makes the Switch like huge. It's probably like altogether the length of it is like the size of an iPad now. Like
Really?
yeah, just like the control. I have to like show it to you, but it's crazy how much bigger this like controller gets. Um, it's like this whole big system thing now that I'm carrying around playing with. But yeah, I kind of like it better. It's more like the more controller feeling. I don't know how else to
Mhm.
describe it, but it's a lot better. They actually just released a new controller, and again, I don't know the name of it, so I'll have to look it up. But it's for mobile gameplay, which I was talking about last week, because the Genshin Impact playing on mobile just seemed like any games on mobile, like in general, to me, just seemed like stupid. Like, I
Mhm.
get it's like the thing that we use most in our lives is our phones and everything like that, but like playing a video game on there, especially, just seems like just so hard. Like, talk about small buttons. I mean, like, there's like
Yeah.
no room at all to do anything, and especially like games like Call of Duty and things like that. I just don't get how people play on mobile, but obviously there's a huge market for it. mobile gaming in general. But so that was the Fall in the Flood was one game after I bought the new controller, and the other game that I've been playing is the online player of Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool. It's like I would describe it as like almost like a area defense or like tower defense type style online play.
Really?
So like you don't get like what's different is like in like a typical tower defense game you set up like uh you know different like towers or like whatever like booby traps or whatever it is like but most of this game is there's like four areas you play online with three other people. There's four areas on the map that you have to defend. Well, first when you join into the game, you have to take them over and kill all the guys like they're surrounding this like circular area. And then the rest of the game is just defending those areas, and you can go and buy things like they have like you can buy a ghost bear and like a pack of ghost wolves that like protect you and like things like that. So like you can buy things in the game itself, like with your points as you collect after you start killing guys. But then most of the game is just protecting those areas, and I don't know, it gets kind of addicting. It's fun to level up your character, and I think for like the freestyle, like it's probably the best. Like even Red Dead Redemption Online, I played that for a little while. That wasn't like that great. Um, but this is probably the best like story online multiplayer like add-on to a game that I've ever played.
Okay.
Versus like, it's some games like Call of Duty, they're focused on the multiplayer. Like they do the regular campaign mode, but for the most part, people play that, they finish it. It's not like that long of a game, and then they just their main focus is the multiplayer. Some people don't even play the actual campaign. This is a
Yeah.
little bit different because you want people to play the campaign, but then this added bonus of having this. There's also a story mode in there, and you can play with one other player, and it's like a different story mode. But you can be different types of characters. So there's like four main areas. One's like um, a silent killer, like a ninja type guy that you're supposed to like sneak up behind people and kill people. There's a hunter with a bow. That's the one that I use mostly, mainly because I like shooting games, but also in the game itself, I always tend to favor using my bow rather than actually like fighting with swords because I think that obviously you keep the damage a lot lower from getting hit when you're 10 feet away instead of right next to the guy. So I'm that guy. Then there's like the regular samurai guy, and there's one other one, I forget what it is, but anyway, pretty cool. So if you haven't checked that out, check out Ghost of Tsushima online. It's free multiplayer version. I think you have to buy the regular
Okay.
game, but they do offer the download for free after you have the game.
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah, it's definitely like I said, it's like the best add-on to a story type game that I've seen. Definitely like a cool little, it's not something that you can play forever, but as far as like if you're into that kind of hack and slash game and defense type game, at first it's pretty easy. It's been last couple of times I played it. You could check out the stream on Facebook Gaming on Facebook. The last time I played it, it was a lot harder. Guys get the bosses are leveled up a lot after a while, so it gets a lot more difficult. But anyway, those are the two main games I've been playing this week.
Yeah, so I don't know what I'm playing.
Yep.
So, okay. I just recently beat, what did I beat? Okay, so I finished Saints Row, Gat Out of Hell, and I didn't care for it a whole lot. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't horrible. It wasn't really my style of game, but it was like, you know, it was good enough, and like I got far enough as like might as well finish it, so I did,
Yeah.
Uh few weeks ago I finished this game Indigo Prophecy, and like on stream I'm even like floundering, not knowing what I'm playing. I did that Titan Souls a few weeks ago, and then I did Broforce.
I like Titan Souls. I
That
thought that was
game,
good.
it's hard though.
Yeah.
uh
It's
and
both of those, well, all three of those are tough games to play on stream. I'll say
yeah,
that.
yeah, well, so Broforce is one I finished before, but like I went to the hardest difficulty and
Yeah.
was trying to beat that. And
Yeah.
so, well, I mean, it's the Iron Bro mode, where basically you can't get more lives, you just get more characters, and once they're gone, they're gone.
So what are you playing that on?
On PlayStation
Oh, okay.
4.
All right. I wasn't sure if you were playing that on Steam or what, but it makes sense now that you're streaming it. You're streaming it from PlayStation. But
Yeah. And then I played
is Titan Souls free?
no.
No. Oh, okay.
I don't know how much it is. It was on Plus a while back, which is how I got it.
Yeah. I'll have to check it out.
But then what did I just played Fury.
Yeah.
And that was fun too. That went fine. But like it's another one that I'm not really sure I want to play right now. And then I started up Bloodborne a few days ago, and I just wasn't feeling it. Like the game seems fun. I'm just not in the right mood. I'm not in the right mindset. So I was like, well, let me try something else out. And I've had this game, Final Fantasy Type 0, for like a year and a half. Once again, I started it up and I'm like, well, this seems fine. I'm just not in the mood for it. I don't know what I want to play. I have no clue. I keep trying things and it's just like, I just don't feel it. So
Bloodborne is a game that definitely starts off slow.
Yeah.
It was a little bit tough for me to get into it too. I can't remember if I beat it or not. I don't think I did, but
well, and it's hard too, because like one of my best friends keeps telling me like how good it is. And like I've got other people that are just like, oh, it's great, just try it out, you'll love it immediately. And I'm like, well,
yeah.
It hasn't happened.
I do
yet.
think that you will like it, but
the style, like I like the combat style. I'm into that so far. But it just, I don't know. I'm just not in the mood for it. I think I just want something a little more like straightforward and simple right now, but I don't want like baby games.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to play anything too casual either. I don't know what I want to play. So I'm going to have to just keep trying things out until I land on the right one.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you get in a little funk like that. You don't know what to play. I get like that a lot too. And then that's when, like, for me, that's when sports games come into play, because if I'm like, I can't find like I like RPG games, but I don't know, maybe go back to Genshin Impact, see, like, maybe. Give it a try.
I really should. I don't know what it is that's just pulling me away from it. Like I keep
free.
Getting ads for it, probably. I keep getting ads for it though, and like it shows like boss fights that look so cool. And as I'm sure you learned by now, I love boss fights. Like it's my favorite part of most games.
Yeah.
And so the boss fights look really cool, and so it's like I should just really want to play this. And I think that's what I'm looking for too. Like I heard Bloodborne has really good boss fights.
Yeah.
Generally, Final Fantasy has really good boss fights. So just give me the boss fights up front, please.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe if you try going back to Genshin Impact, I think that it would be good. Even like streaming that would be kind of cool, just because it's so relevant and like new.
That's true.
It's a good game to stream. But anyway, you can check out Benny. Usually streams on Sundays. You can check them out on Facebook on Cruel Fan Gaming. Check that out. And you can also see articles on gaming news and everything like that. Check that out on cruelfan.com on the gaming section. You can check out a lot of Benny's videos and articles and everything like that. They're all up there on cruelfan.com. So
just be warned that I'm not very good at playing games.
Well, you play games like the games that you've been streaming recently. I was telling this to my fiance, like the games that you've been playing recently they're hard to stream because you get we've talked about this too. You get aggravated at your play because it's a boss battle or a game. But like what people don't realize when they're watching a stream too, or what they have to realize is this is how you like beat bosses. Like for real gamers, like the whole joy of the game is like when you eventually beat it, right? So like but sometimes it takes like 100 tries at beating a boss in order to beat it, and that's what makes it good.
So when I was playing Theory this last Sunday, I got so lucky on that last boss I beat right before we ended
Right. Yeah.
because like so I'd played a little bit before and that's as far as I'd gotten it and I haven't played in like a year and a half. So I start over for the stream and I get through the first two with relatively very little problem.
Yep.
And then I'm on the second one and I'm struggling through most of it, but I'm like figuring it out. It's like kind of it's I wouldn't really say it's a puzzle, but it's like timing and figuring out how to do it, and it's very unique bosses, and
You
it's
have to literally you have to die.
yeah to figure it out.
Right.
But the
But
thing is that with that one, I was like figuring it out pretty quick, and
yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is working, and I die near the end, and I'm like, okay. One more try, and then I'm gonna end this stream because I'd been
Yeah.
streaming for like an hour and a half or something.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I'm gonna end this when I die again. And instead of dying, I won.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just like this is the perfect way to end this.
Right. Yeah.
This was just perfect.
Yeah, it did work out really well. How and I was gonna ask because I was watching you play that game. How do you tell what your health is?
Um, so it's in was it like the upper no, it's in the lower left-hand corner, I think.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was off stream. What I couldn't see it, but anyway.
Yeah, it's and there are like little squares too that indicate like your lives.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
like there's a health bar and then there's your lives. And most of the time their lives or their stages or whatever will be more than you have.
Yeah.
But oh well.
Yeah.
It worked
So
out
anyway,
okay for me. So
yeah.
I'll probably play that one some more at some point. But again, it's hard. And so I think I'm just looking for something to not challenge me.
Yeah. Play a racing game.
I don't like those most of the time.
Yeah, me neither.
But yeah, I would
But
one of
that's
my
what I
people.
mean. Like every time I played a racing game, it was always so like not challenging to me that
Yeah.
like that's like what I feel is just like if you want something mindless to play, play a racing game, and then you'll be like, some games. I mean, that's a broad statement, but like
Yeah.
some games are obviously a little bit more challenging. But it always seemed like for the most part, you can figure out, okay, like going around a turn, I'm not going to use all the gas. I'm not going to hard brake either. I'm just going to kind of like slow down. Like it's like. But anyway.
I'll play Mario Kart.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of that's actually something I wanted to bring up. Mario Kart has this new um version that's kind of cool.
Okay.
You basically I think you must buy them off maybe it's like the eShop or maybe you get them at like Walmart or something like that, but um it's you make your house into a racetrack.
Oh, is it like remote control things
Yeah,
or?
so like your switch turns into like the camera of like your cart and the cart itself has like a camera on it and you make like a track in your house and you like race around like and the cart moves like throughout your house.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah, and it turns like your house into like a virtual video game like type situation. I haven't seen actually people play it, but I've just like read the description of it and saw the trailer and everything, which is pretty cool.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I'd be on board for that.
The only thing is like in like my house, like that's not like a ton of racetrack room, I wouldn't say. And with my
Yeah,
dog, it's kind of I'd have to pretty much do it in my basement, set up a track down there or something, but
yeah. I
still
have
pretty
no
cool
clue
idea.
where I'd do it here, but it's really cool idea. I would be
Yeah.
on board for that if I could figure out how to do it.
Yeah, where space is whatever. But yeah, it's
Right
definitely
over your like work area.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely showing where technology can go with games and stuff. Like I think that's like for example the Oculus Go or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I just don't see that as like the future virtual reality that way. I think more things like this with like augmented reality where it's like not a headset that you put on, but something to do with your controller or something. Maybe
Mhm.
there's like a hologram or something. I don't know. Like it just seems like there maybe could be other ways. Like wouldn't it be cool if you were playing like a Zelda type game, and on the back of your controller was a hologram projection of a map or something that like
Yeah.
you could see on like the floor or something like that. But that'd be kind of cool.
And I'd also like to point out that Nintendo just keeps being innovative,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like PlayStation and Xbox have this huge race to essentially like the best games, best graphics, all this stuff. And Nintendo's like, well, we're going to make you actually race carts,
Yeah.
remote control with your Switch. And like the Switch is a hybrid console and just all this stuff. The Wii was such a big deal because of the motion controls.
Yeah, you couldn't even find a Wii for forever. Like
Yeah.
I wanted one for a long time. I used to call it Wii hunting because I would go out to like all these stores like Target and Walmart, like trying to find like a Wii, and like couldn't find it anywhere. They're just sold out everywhere, which even the Switch now, well, the Switch Lite is pretty much sold out. I just got one for my fiance recently, and it was hard to find one that was even in the color that she wanted because mostly they just had like the yellow ones left over or something like that. It wasn't like, you know, not a lot of inventory out there, but they kind of, I think for the most part, they kind of do that on purpose. They want to keep the demand of them up. So
For sure.
keep the supply low. But anyway, so some other news. There is a game out. Did we already talk about this Ghost Runner game? So it is a post-apocalyptic future style game where basically you're like running through, it seems like different areas or whatever. It seems pretty cool. It's out on PS4, Xbox. I'm not sure if it's going to be out on the Switch or not, but pretty cool game. And you have a cyber katana and you're basically like dodging bullets and areas and things like that, going through boss battler type situation. Seems pretty cool. Other news, this is kind of big just based on Netflix. I wonder if Netflix has a piece of this action, but Cobra Kai is coming out with a video game. I'm not sure if Cobra Kai was originally on Netflix. It might have been on another.
It was on YouTube, not YouTube TV. What did they call it? Like YouTube Premium.
Oh, okay.
It was on there for a little bit as an exclusive, but then when they stopped doing original content, I think Netflix got the rights to it.
Okay.
So.
All right. So anyway, there's a new Cobra Kai game. I think it actually came out today. Is today the 27th?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it came out today, or in this case, when this episode comes out, it'll be yesterday. But Cobra Kai video game for PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. Looks like basically like a kind of karate style, obviously game, but level up and you can play as either both of the guys. I forget their names now, but you know the story. The two head gym masters there. So you could play as either one of them and level up your character and explore Los Angeles, things like that. So I'll probably give it a try. See, maybe on the Switch. Because I've been looking for more games on the Switch to play. Primarily, I play in PS4, but I'd like to get a few more games on Switch that I can play. And in other news, just basically console-wise, this console war that's going on. PS5 is gigantic. Have you seen pictures of it?
No.
So if you look at it versus like the PS4 or PS4 Pro, it is like probably twice the size.
No
it's
way.
Like a huge machine. It is crazy looking. They're saying like the Xbox X looks like a mini fridge. Well, this is like probably bigger. It is a gigantic machine.
Where do they expect me to put this?
Well, the thing that I was thinking about is like in most people's houses now, the whole, the thing to do is if you get a flat screen TV, you put it up on the wall, you hang it up and everything like that. And then like minimal media center stuff, right? Like maybe just like one table or like something where you put some DVDs in or something just like very, very simple. Like most people don't even have a DVD player anymore. And if you have that, with all the streaming and everything like that, like if you have that, it's neatly tucked away. This basically is like, I could just imagine being a kid and asking your parents for a PS5 and then them buying this thing and my mom just being like so mad, like, well, where are we going to put this? Like, I'm sure a lot of kids these days have their own TV and maybe that's not as big of a problem as it was when I was growing up, but like,
But if it's so big, though, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, where are you gonna put it?
yeah. So my point too is like, today, just not having those big clunky media centers that people used to have when like tube TVs were a thing. You'd have to have this huge, gigantic wooden thing that weighed like 1,000 pounds, and like
Yep.
those things are gone pretty much. Like that, we have like a very small one that's just basically a tabletop, and it has a few things at my house, but I game in like my office area anyway, but so it won't be too bad. But even that, like where I have my PlayStation right now is just kind of like tucked away and just like fine where it is and everything like that. It's not even like the PlayStation that I have now like barely fits. There's probably about an inch, 2 inches of room there. The PlayStation 5 there's no way it's gonna fit in there. So obviously with like the more power of a system like that and the better graphics, the better load speed, everything like that, comes this huge gigantic systems. You should look up some photos on it if you get a chance, because it
All
is
right.
gigantic.
We'll just wait until the next generation when the PlayStation 6 comes out.
Yeah.
They're gonna make that thing a literal coffee table.
Yeah. It's
So
just
that
gonna,
is the coffee table, and it's gonna get hooked up to the TV and whatever.
right. Yeah, it would be cool if like PlayStation could just like build it into one of their Sony TVs, like just
That
like
would be cool.
make just like, because they already have TVs. If they could just, figure out a way to just like put the system itself in there, would be pretty cool. But
Even if it was
obviously,
like, even if it was like a special edition of it, and not the console normally, but like it was a version of it that did that, that'd be cool.
yeah. By the way, check out the link in the description. Ice Shaker. Whoop. I like went the wrong way with the camera, but check out the link in the description. Ice Shaker has some really cool products. Check that out. Ice Shaker. Link in the description. But anyway, yeah, so that's one thing about just PlayStation news in general. But another thing that I wanted to bring up was, have you seen the loading screens, any type of thing for PlayStation, how quick it is?
No.
That's another thing you got to check out. So go online, go on YouTube or whatever, check out just like loading from game to game. It is insanely fast.
No
It's
way.
like basically, like how long games take to load right now, and you can't have two open. It always makes you close one down. The PlayStation 5 can basically, like, you could be playing a game as big as like Red Dead Redemption and seamlessly switch to like a Spider-Man game or something like that, just like right away, and start playing. Like there's like hardly any load time at all. It's pretty cool. Check that out too. Those are basically all
Like,
the
look, reduced load time is good and everything, but that's generally when I use the opportunity to like sip my coffee or like
yeah.
take a bite of pretzels or something. So like if I don't
Yeah.
get load times, when am I gonna eat pretzels?
Yeah, you're basically not gonna have any of that time at all, as far as
Come
loading. As far as like loading up the game, anyway. I don't know about like in game, like when you beat a level or something like that, how much pretzel chewing time you'll get there. But but the actual like loading up of the game, it's pretty, like they were switching between games like crazy, just going from one to the next.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Which I like, because I hate when you start up the game, it takes forever for the thing to load, and seems to be always like the problem that they've had it anyway.
The Last of Us 2. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember having to wait.
Yeah. Are you still getting a little bit of glitch issues with Fury, weren't you? Was it Fury?
I don't think so. I didn't notice any.
Maybe it was something else. Maybe it was another game you were playing. I don't remember. But I thought that you had said something like that, like, but anyway, what's the basic concept behind Fury anyway? Like the character itself.
Good question.
Yeah,
So the story's it's not super clear. Like you're in prison, some sort of weird prison thing, but they're not really saying a whole lot. And I don't know if it's because the story is not well developed or if they're gonna reveal it over time. So.
Who's the bunny character?
Good question.
You don't know?
No, I don't know yet. They haven't said.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be a mystery. I really hope they answer it because I hate unanswered questions.
Yeah.
Look, I know I'm a story guy, but like that should just be basics.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Watch him be the final boss.
Yeah, he's just like preparing you this whole time for
Yeah.
to fight him at the end. But
He's like, "Oh, you've let us out. Now I'm gonna kill you."
yeah,
That would actually be kind of cool. I'd be
yeah,
okay with that.
yeah. The last boss that you faced in that was like he had this whole chill time vibe, like weird, like the whole thing. It was kind of
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, that was really tough with the bullets flying
There
everywhere.
were so many. Like it
Uh-huh.
was like,
A lot of them were mine too.
yeah. I was just thinking, I was like, how like I don't know. That kind of game would get me very frustrated, but
I was getting
um
anxious, no lie. Like
yeah,
I'm sitting there like there's so many.
yeah. So anyway, check that out on Facebook Gaming. The last stream of Benny playing that game is still up, so go ahead and check that out on Facebook Gaming. So we had a little bit of homework, a little
Okay.
bit of fun exercise to do that you came up with.
Yeah.
You want to explain it to everybody?
So essentially what we did is I wanted us to pitch our own games. Like we're making, we have all of the whatever we want to use.
Resources,
All
anything?
the That's the word. Thank you. All the resources at our fingertips, right? And so we can make any game we want. And so I, put together a little like form essentially for us to fill out to figure out what we're making. So um, we're going to talk a little bit about story and gameplay style and art direction and a development team, soundtrack, actors, just kind of put together a rough idea of a game. I thought it would be something that's kind of fun. Uh, would you like to go first today, or do you want me to start?
You could go first.
All right. So I've got my little notebook here.
Okay.
Okay. So first, I guess I'll start with I came up with a title for my game and everything. I called it Kaiju, which is like the genre of monster movies of like Godzilla and stuff.
Okay.
And so that's also become like the general term for those types of monsters, just giant creatures or whatever that terrorize cities. And so in Kaiju, you play as an American character who is visiting Japan to discover that all the media about monsters like Godzilla are based in reality because there are monsters taking over Japan. And
Okay.
so for whatever reason, he has to fight these monsters. And so for the gameplay style, it's like a hack and slash, kind of like the old God of Wars, but also kind of mixed in with like the newer style, or like the new God of War, or like uh Dark Souls, where it's slower.
Yeah.
Kind of a mix of both of those, I think. I want it to be very fast paced. Uh, However, there won't be any like minions. It's all boss fights. It's a boss battler because that's what I want out of a game. Just boss fights.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what the gameplay would look like. I want the art to be developed by Akira Toriyama, who created Dragon Ball Z and did the art for Dragon Quest. I love the bright colors and the weird character designs. I think that would be really fitting for a monster game.
Yeah.
Um, so for my development team, I kind of picked and choose a little bit. So I like the Studio Platinum Games. They make hack and slash games. They did what did they do? They did Nier Automata a few years ago, and they did the Bayonetta games and games of that style. Uh, but sometimes I want a lot of really good story with my really good gameplay. So I also threw Hideo Kojima in there, who created the Metal Gear Solid games, and he did Death Stranding last year. So it's going to be really fast gameplay, but probably like an hour of cutscene to explain why the monsters are there, because that's what Kojima does best, is
Yeah.
explain in 15 little movies, basically an hour to 2 hours of cutscenes.
Yeah.
Um, so that's my team right there. And then for the soundtrack, I initially wrote down Toby Fox, who does he's a game developer, but he also does soundtracks. He created Undertale and he did the soundtrack for Undertale. He also did a song for the newest Pokemon games, and then he did the whole soundtrack for a whole bunch of other smaller things. But I crossed that off because as cool as he is, I wanted to pick something that I thought would fit the intensity of my monster game a little bit better. So I wrote down the metal band Animals as Leaders.
Okay.
They do it's like very technical metal, no vocals, it's all instrumentals, very good, very fast. Sometimes it's melodic, sometimes it's really heavy. That's why they're perfect, because like if it's during a slower part, it can be a little more calmed down, or it can be really heavy or really technical or whatever. So good mix of things. Plus I love heavy metal. And then last, I picked my actors. So I want my lead to be Donald Glover because he's just a good actor.
All right.
He will have a companion that he meets in Japan who will guide him and will probably be also like a monster or half monster. I don't know, but he will be played by George Takei.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
love George Takei. And then lastly, who I consider to be the greatest voice actor of all time, my villain has to be Mark Hamill. You know, Luke Skywalker, the
Yeah.
Joker, the greatest voice actor. So that's my horrible game that will probably never come out, but I would play the heck out of that. Look, even remove Hideo Kojima, I'll write it.
So
I'd play the heck out of that game.
all the bosses are, like Godzilla type monsters, like
Yeah,
bigger monsters.
for the most part, I was thinking it'd be kind of fun to have like different styles. So, like, though the game would primarily be that hack and slash thing, what if, like, at some point you go down in the sewers, right? And now you're fighting like a sewer monster,
Yeah.
and you can change the style up so it's more of like a shoot, like a third person shooter, just for that period because he jumps up and you gotta start shooting or whatever. I don't know.
So what was the,
But then
what are you using as weapons? Is it a gun, like guns that you?
I would probably lean towards like melee combat, so swords and axes and whatever. But I like to switch things up in games. Like I love switch ups like that. So just give me a gun for a level.
Okay. Oh, that sounds pretty cool. Cool game. So mine I'm gonna need a little bit more help with, but I basically came up with a concept and working title of Overrated Hero.
Okay.
And so the idea or premise of the game, and I'm not sure, maybe this already exists, but it's something that I thought would be kind of cool, is basically you play as a bunch of different characters that are the bad guys in the story. So you're not the hero, you're playing just to stop all the heroes from taking over like one area or whatever. So you're playing as the boss instead of like trying to defeat the boss. You're actually the boss itself. So in a lot of games, you like boss battler type games, or even RPG style games, you're like fighting through quests and you come up alongside like all these different like guys, but you're in this game, your whole objective is to play as the bad guys and stopping the hero's quest from going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of have to be like like different heroes would come up, and it wouldn't just be like one guy that's like continually trying to beat you, but something like that. And so for our gameplay style, I just kind of chose stuff that I liked in game. So Borderlands is probably like art wise like my favorite style of game. So they're like indie art, kind of like, I talked about this before, but like graphics that look bad but really aren't bad. Like they're like purposely designed a certain way with like more art and more like more like 2D looking images instead of like perfect 3D stuff. So that would be kind of like the style of the gameplay. I perceive it kind of like swords and like that style. Nothing really like guns in this particular game, but maybe some like special abilities or stuff like that. But the whole idea again is that like there would be several different bosses that you kind of move around and control, and your whole objective is to like stop heroes from taking over, like let's just say a city or like a kingdom, something like that. You play as like various different bosses. Soundtrack, well, it kind of came up like when you were playing Fury. I was like listening to what you were talking about. You said like that you listened to this kind of music when you were like studying when in
Yep.
college, and I thought that that style of music is what I would like throughout some techno stuff. But then it started like me thinking about like when I study, what do I listen to? And it's more like chill beats. So I listen to like hip hop beats that are just like instrumental only and just very relaxed, like nothing like that fast paced. So that would be like the general like gameplay style, like through the story. And then the techno style, heavy metal, all that screamo type music, that would be more for like the actual battles itself.
Okay.
So that's kind of like came up with this for soundtrack. For actors, so I like Adam Driver for Kylo Ren from Star Wars. Like I think that would be like cool to have him as like one of the main guys, just because I think he plays the perfect role of like a bad guy that you also can sympathize with.
Yeah.
So I think that that would be like good for this. Like you're playing as like the bad character, you're playing as like the boss, the evil guy, but also you want to kind of sympathize with them. And then like maybe like a Keanu Reeves type player is like the hero or whatever, because he's like kind of this badass, like can stop everything and fight through anything, but like you're so frustrated as like the bad guy that you want to stop the hero, that the other guy has to be like good. He can't be kind of like limping into the fight, how some of like games portray heroes as just like the underdog or whatever. He has to actually, in this case, be like the hero has to be really good or really strong. So some sort of style like that. And that's pretty much it. I mean, like I didn't really think about too much more with like the game design. I think like I kind of covered that with like the art graphics of Borderlands kind of thing, but I just thought it was a kind of cool concept to like flip the script and have something where it's more like focus on the bad guys, the bosses themselves, and try to keep out like the heroes, keep out the regular storyline from winning. It's just all about like keeping the control of the kingdom or whatever it is. Yeah.
Well, and I like you could do it like a mix of like almost tower defense and like base preparation type stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But also throw in like an aspect where you send one of like maybe one of your bosses will go out into the city or into a town. And so you can sometimes have rounds that are like you out and doing something, and maybe that's how you gain resources.
Yeah, I thought about that too. Like the regular story plot line would be like, like a Jafar type guy that he like talks to all like his underlings as like, and you got to set up like booby traps and like stuff like that, like stuff to stop the hero. And then like slowly but surely, like, the hero gets to you and things like that. So, and then at that point, the object of the game is to stop the hero. So overrated hero, kind of just like shutting all that down. But anyway, kind of cool.
I would try that out. That sounds neat. I like it.
Yeah, kind of interesting. Like going with this whole thing. At first, I was like, I don't know, like this, like it's like it's a big like creative like project, like figuring it out and everything like that. But then once I thought of just like the concept itself of how like you're always like the hero in the story, you're always trying to be, if you've like flipped the script and do something else. Anyway, if you got any ideas for video games or anything like that, short little blurb, put that in the comment section. Let us know what you would like design for a game. I think
also, let me know what I should play since I can't pick.
Yeah, but Benny's having a rough time figuring out as a gamer what game he should play next. Yeah, a lot of games out there, but also I think that as far as new games, they're kind of waiting for the new systems to come out to see what games can come out in there. And then even
Just
once
about 2 more weeks though.
right, yeah, and even once the systems come out, sometimes due to bugs and everything like that, and then figuring out, sometimes you don't get new games for a long time. Sometimes it takes a year or two for like really good games to come out. I'm really excited for well, more information on Breath of the Wild 2. I'd like to get some kind of update on that, but once and the new game name escapes me, but the new Zelda game, the
shoot, it's Hyrule Warriors.
Hyrule Warriors. Yeah, I can't think of the actual full title though. But
Yeah.
But anyway, once that game comes out, I think it comes out sometime in December, maybe. But that'd be kind of cool to play that game. So that's it for this week's episode of the Bonus Boss Podcast. Benny Ulich, Ryan Collins. Make sure to check out that link in the description. We'll come up with some great topics for next week. Hopefully, we have a different creative idea that we can share with you. Check out the link in the description for Ice Shaker. And that's pretty much it. Have a great week.